The transformational reformatting sequences and master expansion profiles offered in this seminar are calibrated exclusively for each registered participant. Unregistered listeners can sign up for this seminar at www.serenityvibrationhealing.com. Each of the topics and the dialogue in this recording are designed to gracefully identify embedded formats, bringing to light the seeds and foundations of limiting current life belief systems and genetic imprints. These limiting imprints create obstacles and barriers to clarity, focus, health, vitality, abundance, and a harmonious life. The SVH tools utilized to reformat these barriers and blocks are implemented solely by the Creator after you have approved the clearing. For the transformational reformatting sequences to be fully implemented, this conscious authorization must be given. Anytime you are guided to view a screen in order to ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment for the Creator to implement the clearing sequences for you, the Creator waits for your agreement to go forward before the work can be seamlessly and gracefully applied. For now, sit back and relax. This Master Maker New Life seminar is going to take you on a journey of discovery, freedom, and sovereignty, helping to emancipate you from millions of limitations that have held you from defining and fully realizing your destiny.
Hello, I'm Jill Marie, and this seminar is meant to be. Today we're going to isolate the formula that supports your understanding of when something is meant to be or no meant to be. We're going to help shift your understanding of whether something is meant to be because of divine will and your soul's alliance with that flow of creation energy. And, if it is, set the foundation for you to help make it happen, rather than just sit back and hope it happens. We're also going to work with manifestation formulas to design and define that meant to be and all those meant to be's that you're choosing to create for this life. Why not make every day and all that flows within it be aligned with the realities that you would love to make your meant-to-be life? If you're focusing on the ideal vision of your manifestation flow, and your hand is firmly on the rudder as you direct that flow into the realization of the realities that you have designed, you're already one step ahead in manifesting the destiny that you're choosing. Let's fine-tune your designs and help you to leap to an even greater understanding of the means for realizing that destiny that you're fueling. In the next 3 hours, you get to put yourself in the life driver's seat by uncovering deep embedded seeds of apathy that fuel illusions of powerlessness that have been blocking your master will. Like in the seminar, Creating an Abundant Year, 2010 and beyond, you're going to design your destiny and then make it meant to be. Have you ever wanted something so much that you could think of nothing else, but in the end, it just didn't happen? You thought about it, you planned for it. Maybe you even cut out a picture of what the realization of your dream might look like when it does come to fruition. But in the end, did your dream reality come up short of what you desired, or did you miss the mark altogether? If so, did someone tell you that you couldn't have it, or block your ability to make it happen? Or did the tide just turn and the possibility for making your dream come true shifted its manifestation formula out of timing or probability? Whatever the reason for your heart's desire to come up short of your ideal, it doesn't matter. That's the past. Let's set the creation flow from this moment forward, shifting it into your favor by stepping up the pace of your formation potentials and fueling your innate manifestation tools. We don't use these tools to manipulate others, nor do we shift energy to suit our will if it's out of alignment with the principles of honor and could create loss or harm to you and others. But when your ideals are consciously fueling the desires of your heart, and the sequences of manifestation are in alliance with your chosen focus, you need to take your innate abilities out of sometimes mode and boost them into overdrive. Let's set the intention for the next 3 hours and the rest of your abundant life by connecting with all of the masters, angels, and guides that have been assisting you for the whole of your life. Let's ask them for right now and the remainder of your journey in this life to light up the easy, graceful, and harmonious pathways of discovery and understanding that will help to lead to personal awareness and inspirations that will be able to fuel you and that can be fueled by you also to reach the highest ideals imaginable. Let's also ask Creator to bless this fearless adventure into the new stage of self-empowerment. Creator, watch over and guide and assist in this transformation, assisting us to vanquish apathy and alliances with disempowerment and self-sabotage. Thank you, Creator. Okay, well, let's begin. The way these teleseminars work is for you to open your mind and open your heart and your awareness, like opening up the curtains in a room of your house, letting it fill up with the light of new ideas and means for capturing, and in some instances, recapturing the reins of a powerful privilege that has been yours all along to define, direct, and activate. Remember those 3 words, because they're going to become very important in the next few hours, and then throughout your entire life. Define, direct, activate. When you fully define the reality that you're choosing to create, or in more simple terms, when you know exactly what it is that you're choosing to manifest into reality, and then direct the energy to flow to that reality through your focused thoughts, words, and actions, creation energy activates your defined steps to fuel the ultimate goal. That means that for the potentials to become rock solid, real in your life, forming the supports and foundations of opportunities to fuel your ideals into reality, direction must take place. Without direction, there is no activation, and your dream reality stays a dream. We are creating every aspect of our life, from how our body looks and feels to how much money we have in our bank account. It's true that as children we were limited perhaps in our ability to singularly create realities having to do with our environment and many of our experiences. But we are no those children anymore. So let's stop defining our life and our current reality by all the limiting experiences that we had back then. This is now. And now is where life is happening for you. Living in the now while also planning and fueling creation energy to support the realities that you're defining for your now and future is progressive. Keeping a forward focus on the creation energy that you're fueling takes the reins of your life into your hands. It vanquishes victim energy and any link to collective alliances with fate. Fate can fuel anything from running into a brick wall to finding the love of your life. But who and what fuels fate? What makes something meant to be or no meant to be? And if something is meant to be, is it meant to be because we did nothing to make it happen, or because we did everything to fuel that something into reality? We fuel our own destiny. And though we are open to divine intervention and supportive providence, it's time to step up to the plate and claim your destiny. Can you imagine Buddha or Jesus or Saint Germain sitting on their laurels just waiting to see if something is going to happen or not? Well, I hardly think so. They may have sought advice from knowledgeable people that they respected or gone deep within to find those answers. But I can promise you that in their mastered states, or even mastering states like those that we're evolving within now, those masters defined and directed and activated the ideals that they focused upon, and they did no leave the destiny of their life to the will of others or to fate. They created with passion and focus, and the truth is that we remember them for that. Life is an opportunity. People can choose to excel or just get by. You don't want to just get by. In fact, you are a superachiever that is ready to leap to new levels of master proficiency in manifesting, and someone that is more than ready to take the reins of your life. You aren't content to wait around to see what unfolds in your life. You're choosing to ride the manifestation wave with your finger on the pulse of every stage of your reality. It's already started now, and throughout the 3-hour discourse, the Creator is preparing you for a massive SVH clearing profile that is designed to dig deeply into your genetic imprints of apathy and victimization and disempowerment. Even if these imprints are not actively playing roles in your life now, we want to ensure that they have no power to rise up any time later to shut down the directive focus that you are mastering. The activation of massive flows of creation energy directed to fuel your focused vision with no deviation from your ideal reality is something that's meant to be. So let's give you a short list of absolute meant-to-be realities. Achieving anything less than these meant-to-be realities is no meant to be. But of course, as a master of your realm and the definer of your ultimate destiny, you get to choose if these meant-to-bes reached their highest ideal. Let's see if any of these sound doable or are of interest to you. Number 1, it is meant to be that you remember the truth of your divine nature and to complete the purpose you intended for this lifetime. It is meant to be that you remember the harmony and the focus that can be found within the quieted mind, and from that place of clarity, that you release the impulse to blame others for your reality, and you seek out the means to transform all that is iniquitous, reforming these areas of your life to reflect exactly what you desire your life to look like, feel like, and be like. It is meant for you to master your life and to master your ability to instantly manifest in such clarity and with such supreme focus that all that you desire is pristinely manifested as you design. That means that no harm can come to you or your property and your focused vision. So if there's a fire raging all around you, the fire is honored, but the wind turns it to burn in a direction away from you. Let's see. What is another meant to be? It is meant to be that you reach a level of mastery that affords you the privilege of an abundance of all that is good and great, allowing you the opportunity to move throughout the world, if you choose, supporting humanity as a collective and the ultimate plan of the Creator. What does that mean? Well, it can mean anything you'd like it to mean. Enough, more than enough, opulence, the ability to help others, to live a happy, healthy, harmonious life that is free of dissension of any kind, to be able to experience a perpetually regenerating body and to know the joy of harmonious, mutually supportive relationships, to never have to wonder anything, just know. Because you are so in tune to the flow of energy that fuels your reality that you know it into beingness. In an instant, you second-naturedly define, direct, and activate. Bada boom, bada bing, it is manifest. These meant-to-bes are all components of your birthright, including ascension. That ascension plan is something that most of us have to work on a little bit, though, because it's kind of written into collective consciousness that only a select few are ordained with the right and privilege of ascension. I wonder why that is. Maybe because humanity has lived in a dual plane of existence for so long, with all of its many ups and downs and can'ts and you better nots and conditions that have locked into collective beliefs so firmly that to even suggest such a ridiculous potential would be ludicrous. Well, that's one of the reasons why more people haven't ascended. If something is firmly held into collective consciousness that it's impossible, then why try? In fact, if it was truly meant to be, it'd just happen, wouldn't it? Well, that just brings us to the massive clearing phase of this seminar, because each of us is imprinted with absolutes that are old, outdated, unproductive, non-supporting, and self-defeating. In fact, most of those obsoletes are based in fear, self-degradation, and are linked to control, manipulation, and suppression of the very sovereignty that would assure a realization of the list of meant-to-bes that we just talked about. Where do these limitations come from? Are they stemming from and supported by your own desire to give up the ultimate destination for this life and the ability to easily and gracefully create anything you desire? No. This kind of dream stealing comes from fear. Why dare to dream of that which is impossible or a sacrilege to even imagine? Who are you and who are we as a collective to imagine that we can be anything more than what we are? Fear of loss, although it can also be spun into fear of success, also factor into this meant-to-be scenario, because it may be better to no try at all rather than try and fail. It'd be horrible to work toward goals of enlightenment and master expansion and the ability to instantly manifest and truly rise to the best that we can be, but just miss that mark all the way through. In fact, that may be the single most dream-killing imprinting of all, balanced by the flip side, which is a fear of actually attaining the goals and then being faced with the responsibility of being that person, being that amazing, super powerful master that's always in tune, always in sync with the creation energy flow, and always in harmony. There's a little part of many of us that might think that that kind of life would be a bit boring. And after all, most people let their hair down every once in a while and get in a funk sometimes and have a desire to do nothing and be nothing. What if success and mastery means that you have to be perfect all the time and everyone is watching to see if you fall a peg or two? Maybe it's better to really hammer down that instant manifestation thing and kind of stay under the radar with the mastery stuff, because even the Dalai Lama must have a really, really rough day now and again. And after all, the whole world is watching him. Let's ponder that for a moment, will you? What would that be like? To have everyone expect you to be perfect? And what would the people in your hometown, in your graduating class, and your old priest, minister, or rabbi think if you started going around claiming to be a master? Is your family going to support your progression to enlightenment? Are you concerned that you may leave people behind as you leap higher and higher to these states of awareness that support master intellect and freedom from the barbs and triggers that used to work to reel you in and hold you in the comfort level of those that are no progressing at your exponential rate? That dialogue perhaps stimulated a great deal of clearing potentials. But to be perfectly honest, clearing isn't enough. You need a vision of what meant to be looks like for you. That way, you can define, direct, and activate the ideal meant to be into reality. If you can conceptualize it, you can create it. So here's your list. It's a short one. There's only 3. Number 1, what does my life look like with me as a person that defines, directs, and activates every component of my life in a supreme clarity and focus? 2, what does it look like for my life to be free of drama, trauma, and hardship? And 3, What does it look like for my life to be abundant in health, vitality, wealth, and honoring relationships? Figure that out, because once defined, you can direct and fuel and manifest the ideal levels of mastery that feel the most comfortable to you. It isn't required that any of us express mastery a particular way. In fact, those of you that know me know my deep passion for mastery and mastering the mind. And you also know that I love to laugh and joke around and have fun. To me, mastery is a joyful celebration of life. Mastery in motion with a giggle. Being able to manifest all that you desire instantly doesn't have to be performed in a uniform or robes of affiliation of any sect or modality. Each of us is here to be the most that we can be, and the means for achieving this goal is as individual as we are. In fact, from this moment forward, let's just release attachment to ascension and just assume and know that we will. Ooh, there's that no again. See, now that ascension is a given, we can direct our focus to other things. Things that are more aligned with the journey to ascension and the journey to self that supports you manifesting all you desire. First of all, what is the one thing that you believe is holding you back from being the most that you can be? If the answer to that question is apathy or self-sabotage or blocks to achieving your ideal that are spurred by not having enough money or other people holding you back or circumstances are out of your control or that you're too old, too fat, too skinny, ill, misunderstood, afraid to live, or any other reason for you to stay stuck, the answer to get past your issues is the same. Change your focus. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Well, it is. There's no reason why you can't change your focus. Did you hear that? I'll say it again. There is no reason why you can change your focus. I can promise you that the Creator did not put you in your current predicament of life, nor is it meant to be for you to struggle or come up short of your ideal. There are specific universal laws that preclude the Creator from smiting you or dooming you or laying even one foundation for limitation in your life. Not that the Creator would anyway. The Creator supports your every choice, even if it is to sever your toe from your foot, if that's the reality that you're creating. We can create from apathy or from clarity. Toes don't get cut off feet for giggles. Nobody gets a great idea and then lays the foundation for their toe to be removed. But the seeds and foundations of that ultimate reality, if created, got planted and fostered somewhere along the line, or it can't have happened. Manifestation 101. Creation energy fuels realities that are supported. They can be consciously supported, unconsciously supported by allowing things to happen, and they can be apathetically supported by co-creating with others. But never in the history of mankind has the Creator caused a flood or smited someone. That is a really bad rap that somehow manifested over time. But no matter how old or supported that blame fest might be, it's still not true. Creator is a support to us, unconditionally supporting every choice we make and every choice no to choose also. If we don't pay the electric bill for months and then they cut off the electricity, it wasn't God that got your electricity shut off. It was you. If genetic irregularities create that a fetus forms abnormally, God isn't punishing the child or the parents. The genetic sequencing formed out of alignment with the norm. That's all. If someone is born into hardship or is abnormally formed, or any other scenario, the soul did not come in to experience that reality. The soul came in and is experiencing that reality. Let's put Creator on a big cleanup campaign right now to help us release attachment to victimization and any need to blame ourselves or anyone else for the events and the experiences and the foundational formulas making up our reality. It is no meant to be that someone is crippled or diseased or plagued with allergies or infestations of parasites and alliances with unsavory relationships. You may not have had an initial say in the formation of the energy that laid the foundation for these realities, but you can certainly make a claim in these circumstances now. If someone is a cripple, whether the problem can be alleviated fully or not, they can change their focus and open to possibilities for the most glorious life. If someone is unwell, they can change their focus and find the answers to wellness, or a way to live with that illness that does not lower their vibrational light quotient, but creates that they are an inspiration to themselves and to others. If toxic relationships exist in your reality, how can you change your focus and change the dynamic of the association? It's not enough to say, I can't, or to blame others for why we're stuck or blocked from creating our reality. It's a victim mentality to stay in bondage and to claim that it's meant to be that you're stuck. No soul came into this life to be subjected to anything. There was an old paradigm belief bandied around for years that basically gave away personal power and blamed the soul for all kinds of things. Like, my soul came in to experience life as a cripple, or my soul came in to experience poverty or getting beat up all the time, or to be dishonored or hung or anything else that's been slung onto the blame list. I can tell you that you are made of creation energy, every bit of you. And your soul is a facet of the essence of the Creator God, which is a delicious loophole that makes it possible for the Creator to enter your body when you were in your mother's womb and experience your life with you. That doesn't mean that the Creator is out there wielding power to wreck your life or punish you for your choices. That means God is with you always, with you and walking alongside you and a part of you, experiencing this reality with you. You're never alone. The best analogy Creator ever gave me about this scenario is the one about the pool in the bucket. The Creator told me that all soul lineages come from one origin, the essence of our blessed Creator. Of all the soul lineages in the everything, the one you came from was especially selected for you and your body. Your body was formed in your mother's womb, and in divine timing, a big bucket of soul was dipped out of that pool of infinite oneness and poured into your body. The instant the soul entered your body, something wonderful happened. It saturated everything right down to your tiniest cell. It also started radiating light to everywhere and everything in waves of love like ripples and breaths that reached out to everywhere and everything, always maintaining its infinite oneness and connection to all that is. The batch of soul that you received gives you an edge in this life because it helps you to stay bright and light and to reach greater levels of awareness. It is the reason for your personal expansion and infinite capacity to love. And it also is the foundation for your infinite ability to manifest all that you desire. Your soul, your individuated soul that's in you, is still part of the big pool of soul that it came from. And sometimes you can even feel the oneness of it and the lives of all the other beings that received their soul from the pool of infinite oneness that you came from. But those lives belong to those beings, and your life and your individuated soul are unique to you. Your life is your life, but of course, cosmically, we all are one. And at some point, all of the individuated souls from your pool will unite again, and then restore to the oneness of the Creator where it has never left. That's why it's kind of a waste of time to identify ourselves with other aspects of our soul lineage. You are you, and the other aspects of your soul lineage are them. This is the life that you're living in the human body that was developed in your mother's womb. To say that you're Cleopatra is to deny your reality. With that said, your soul is infinitely linked with all the aspects of your soul lineage as a function of its unification with the oneness of the lineage, and beyond that, it's also connected to everyone and everything in the all and the everything. I guess the most important point is this. You are you, and you are the most important job you have. It is universally considered to be manipulative to directly affect the other aspects of your soul lineage in order to fix them, whether you believe it's meant to be or not. Each life has the supreme right and privilege to evolve or no to evolve, and it is their absolute right to do so free of manipulation from other lives associated with their soul lineage. I doubt that you would encourage aspects of your soul lineage to influence your life and personal evolution, especially if it could set you back or limit you. You have the divine right to create your meant-to-be realities without interference, and so do they. In SVH, we utilize specific shields that the Creator implements to assure our sovereignty and our right to choose a life that is free of manipulation. Even the Creator won't cross that boundary and limit your free will choices by waving some kind of magic wand and fixing your problems. Even still, our blessed Creator is playing a very important role in each of our lives. The Creator has better than a front row seat within your life. The Creator is experiencing everything you are. And best of all, the Creator is experiencing it through you as you. There is no judgment of your choices, only unconditional love. That's another reason why the Creator isn't making you experience anything and isn't keeping you stuck by not helping you. The Creator honors your progression and, in fact, has provided you with a glorious tool called the brain, which provides you with a seamless flow of data to support your understanding of every aspect of your life. The part of the brain I'm talking about doesn't remind you of past failures and reasons why you can't succeed. That's what ego does. The divine intellect gives you a steady stream of important information that you can use to circumvent current or impending issues. It's a forward thinker, dealing with issues in the now and yet always looking to the future and the steps that this new moment may have initiated to fuel those impending realities. Think of it, a constant stream of information to support every potential outcome, and we could tap into it. Wait a minute. We've had this endless stream of resolutions and answers for every problem all along? So why don't we have perfect lives then? Well, I'll explain it to you the way the Creator explained it to me. Life was quieter 100,000 years ago. People knew that their thoughts were heard by others, and they were also in touch with the fact that their thoughts were very creative. In fact, collective consciousness was just a budding flower then. And boy, oh boy, were there some interesting archives of what is held there. But the main most important thing is that the people back then didn't have the 120,000 years of ancestral archives of limiting perceptions and beliefs that we do. Life was simpler then, and people lived in touch with nature, unlike most of our industrialized world. Look at most cities. They're concrete jungles, with wiring in the walls and wiring in the ground, and skyscrapers that position people high above. The air is filled with radio waves, microwaves, ELFs, and EMFs, and God knows whatever else from cell phones and cable TV transmissions. It's like being in a room with 50 radio stations playing all at once. No wonder we struggle to tune into the how-to channel, the one with the seamless, constructive information flowing to us from the divine intellect. The how-to channel has always been there and is always supplying us with useful information on how to do everything, so we can choose and then fuel that reality. But if you can't hear the information stream because of a really loud radio station moderated by the bossy, naysaying ego program file that's overshadowing the how-to, how can you receive that ideal information? Your ancient ancestors tapped into the stream of data from the divine intellect, and so do people from several of our current unindustrialized countries. The Dogon tribe is one of them, as well as some of the indigenous tribesmen of Australia, New Zealand, South America, North America, and Africa. In fact, they've never lost their ability to hear the voice of truth, which they equate with the inner divine. They trust it and follow its guidance because they recognize authentic truth. Because these beings live in the moment, trusting the unrestrained flow of information, they're able to make decisions based on clear facts that pertain to the realities at hand. Can you see now how waiting to see what is meant to be has no place in the scenario of a master? When you're clear and you have all the facts about every current and impending potential available at your disposal at all times, you can discern and know what each choice is likely to seed. So you can feel the reality that you select based on that knowledge. Knowing supports focus and clarity, and an ability to set clear boundaries and parameters for your life that manifest exactly as you design. Master the mind. Silence the ego program file so you can achieve the clarity and focus to define your reality. I know I'm like a broken record with this theme, but the truth is that every being that ever attained mastery did these things. Every one of them silenced the mind chatter so that they could be free to hear the divine intellect. That guiding voice within each of us that helps us to define and choose every reality that we design and desire. Doesn't matter how these masters did it and what tools they used to get there. The two most important fundamental principles in mastery are focus and clarity. So how can you maintain these for an infinite period of time with 50 radio channels blaring in the background, blocking you from hearing the how-to channel, the very channel that Buddha and Krishna, Saint Germain, Jesus, Kuan Yin, all of these masters before us tuned in to that exact channel. They didn't have an in. God wasn't watching after them, overwatching over you. Each of us has that exact same opportunity, just like they did. I'd like to add at this point that God has not abandoned you and left you to find your way. Creator is with you in every moment, guiding you and offering you assistance. Even in your darkest hours, when perhaps you have felt the most alone and abandoned by God even, the divine presence has always been with you and within you and forever vigilant, offering insights, pathways to freedom, and even a link to the perpetual nature of the self and our loved ones. The Creator is everywhere and within you, and always offering you the opportunity to claim your birthright. This seminar meant to be is more than a discourse on personal empowerment, and, of course, the amazing opportunity for you to receive the transformational clearing that is yet to come. It is a chance for you to really grasp the importance of clearing the way for you to be able to access the potentials available to you through the infinite expansion that is possible when you silence the pervasive mind chatter that limits your ability to access the divine intellect and its unrestrained flow of constructive data that offers you the opportunity to choose, not from a perspective of ego's rhetoric and multitude of mind-chattering topics, but from the pool of information that offers you viable options in real time. Imagine a think tank of intellectuals factoring every possible option available to you based on the current and impending potentials of every moment of your life. The How-To Brain Channel is a resource of information that provides you with exactly that. Only the stream of information you receive is instantaneous and always linked to the flow of your virtual now. This data reflects the big picture and the tiniest details, allowing you to instantly know how each step affects every reality you can think of. Anyone can second-guess the decisions they've made and wish they shoulda, coulda, woulda done something differently. People say, if I'd only known. But what I'm telling you is that you do have the ability to know the full picture of every possible scenario that can occur in your life. You can make the ideal choice about everything the first time around. This sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But it's not. This ability and much more is your birthright and has been at your disposal forever. This isn't some new development that happened in the last month or week or a year. From the moment of your birth, you've been tapping into this source of information. How much or how little you tapped in was based on your levels of clarity, and also on your ability to wrap your brain around the data. This pristine source of information is in your language. It's transmitted in the vernacular of the times that you understand. But if you don't want to hear the truth, because lies sound more convincing and more aligned with your current reality, it's easy to imagine how you might choose another channel to pay attention to. A channel that resonates more with who you believe you are, and maybe one that feels comfortable and customary. I don't really like to use the word comfortable if it's describing unbalanced behavior, but it has been shown in life over and over again that a person can be attracted to someone or something that's uncomfortable to be around. But there is a certain comfort in being in an energy that is customary and expected, even if what is expected is conflict and dissension. We've all heard about people getting out of their homes of origin as fast as they can, so they can escape the abuse that's been going on there, only to later marry someone that is aligned with abusing them in the same way or some way similar. Now, I know it doesn't make a lot of logical sense, but it makes formatting sense. If someone has been repeatedly told that they won't amount to anything in this life, it will be second nature for them to expect less than supportive insights. Besides, it's usually easier to believe the negative stuff than to stretch beyond your comfort level to entertain the idea that you can do anything and do it well, especially if your head is telling you differently. Now, I'm talking about you right now because each of us has been affected by the people in our life. The children we grew up around and how they accepted us and how we interacted with them all laid a foundation for how we connect with people today. What about your family? And how they treated you and how they treated others. These are all contributing factors that make up the 50 channels you hear in your head. So how can you differentiate from the destructive or limiting channels that are so pervasive and the fabulous channel that provides seamless data that supports an instant understanding of all of the potentials available to you? It's simple. Remove all that supports the unrelenting negative narratives and the volume on the channel's limiting random inner dialogue. Turn lower and lower, and eventually it'll silence. There have been a lot of channels playing in your head for a long time. Some you've heard, and some you haven't. New ones can be added at any time. That's why there's so much value in releasing the formatting that supports the non-constructive channels. And if you're new to SVH, you might ask, what the heck formatting even is? Well, formatting is the foundational makeup of you. You are formatted, kind of like your computer is. In fact, you were pre-formatted in the womb with a deep well of genetic imprints. This is the deepest well that you can ever imagine, because the beliefs and the fears and impressions held there are more than 100,000 years old. And most of it's outdated, and though most of the limiting formats held in the genetics don't pertain to modern life, they are there, and they are the resource for most of the limiting verbiage broadcasted on many channels playing in your head. There are zillions of files on every topic imaginable that make up the whole package of how you feel about things and how you react to things and even think. Formatting is the reason why you answer yes without thinking when someone asks you for help. Has that ever happened to you? Yes. It's second nature. If you do answer the question yes before they even tell you what they're asking you to do for them, then you are formatted to respond that way, and it's likely a genetic imprint. Maybe it's supported by current life imprints, but it's definitely coming from some deep genetics. Your formatting defines you and your reality, but it doesn't have to. We can choose the formats that we don't want, and with the SVH reformatting technique, the Creator takes those defined imprints and replaces them with empowering, supportive imprints. Sounds pretty magical, doesn't it? Well, it is. And the best part of all is that the Creator implements those transformational changes in an instant with no integration periods. I was really excited about the clearing packages offered in the previous seminar, Creating an Abundant New Year. It was by far the biggest and deepest group clearing that I've ever put together. It took 2 weeks just to lay the foundation of the clearing sweeps and to lay the profiles in place. But I can tell you that the deep genetic clearing package we're implementing in this teleseminar is going to far exceed it. In fact, it's going to take that clearing to the next level. As most of you know, while registered participants are listening to this teleseminar, every subtle response that you have to the dialogue is loading into auto-profile clearing directives. At the end of the seminar, you'll have the opportunity to initiate the directive that the Creator will activate in this life-transforming mega genetic clearing. Let me tell you what we're after. We're on a quest for the Holy Grail, the pristine chalice of knowledge and truth that exists within each of us. Millions of beings have embarked on this same quest, but you have the greatest potential for success than any of them, because we are on the fast track to mastery, and the reason we are is because of the tools that we're about to use to unearth the seeds and foundations of the obstacles that have held us and others like us from reaching the goal. The Grail is life, lived on purpose with conviction and passion, and the clarity and focus to create exactly what we choose. That's right, exactly what we choose, instead of a watered-down version of what we want or not succeeding at all. Your ultimate destination is near. All you need to do is choose it and claim it and drive the creation energy forward to form it. This seminar and its clearing isn't a free pass to the Grail, but the clearing profiles you receive each time you've listened to this class and implement the homework gives you a head start. You don't have to meditate for hours and chant and repeat mantras and go sit in a cave to reach your goal. All you need to do is live life deliberately. So let's talk about what you want. I'm using the word want on purpose because it triggers a lot of random inner dialogue. The moment you start thinking want, several channels open up the loudspeakers to get your attention, because those channels are naysayers that spout every reason why you can't have what you want. Even something simple like, I want a candy bar, elicits a litany of reasons why you can't and shouldn't have it. Imagine if you started thinking about what you want your ideal life to look like, or your ideal relationships, or your ideal vacation, or more onto the topic, wanting to achieve the greatest levels of clarity and focus possible, so that you can achieve levels of supreme knowing. That's right, knowing. That's the Grail in this instance. Some of you might have been thinking that the kind of clarity and focus I've been talking about is a lot of hard work, because the whole time you'll be factoring this and that and the other thing. Gosh, with all that information at your disposal, how are you going to live life? How are you going to decide what to do, where to go, and the best choice to select out of all those scenarios that the How-To Brain Channel provides? The best way is to auto-profile what you want. If you participated in the previous teleseminar, you already have a focused vision of what you're choosing to create, and that is going to help. But right now, we're going to create a preset formula that's going to be calibrated by the Creator when you're ready. That preset formula is going to become a guideline for the How-To channel, so that you can be assured that this is the only channel you consciously tune into, releasing all alliances with mind chatter channels that have the potential to limit your clarity and block you from progressing, just like all masters of light that have come before you have done. They spent years purifying self and mastering their minds in order to achieve the clarity and focus that allowed them to remain tuned in to this wavelength. When Buddha aligned with this level of clarity, he locked in and allowed nothing else to influence him. He discovered and then knew that there is nothing that brings about more truth and inspiration than the sacred truth that can be found from within. Saint Germain found that same focus, and when he aligned it with the reality that he defined, he lived for centuries, perpetually rejuvenating and living life with passion and purpose. We don't need gurus. God is our guru. And inasmuch as God has been blamed for almost everything negative that has ever happened on this world, it is that same Creator that has given us the tools and the map to reach and attain the greatest levels of enlightenment and joy and harmony and, yes, abundance. We've had the tools all along and the ability to perform miracles. So let's make some miracles happen. First miracle is, let's commission Creator to solve the mystery of our own resistance. Resistance is a really important topic. What has stopped you before now from reaching your ideal goal in everything that you've ever chosen to create in your life? You know, I've already broken the news to you that this seminar is not a magic button. But what if it is? What if SVH is the magic button, and all we need to do is reformat the barriers and blocks to clarity until the volume is turned down so low on the other channels that all you can hear and know is the river of knowledge? Well, that's the plan. What else are we going to do? We can't go back to living life by chance after discovering that we are so close to the ability to instantly manifest all that we desire. You don't need to spend 20 years in a cave to reach these levels of clarity and focus. You can do it in record time. And the new tools we're implementing in this seminar are going to catapult you far forward. So far forward that you're going to be able to feel the Grail within your grasp. My personal advice to you is this. If you have not learned SVH yet, find a teacher and make these tools a part of your life. They're easy, they're simple to use, and you can't mess up, because the Creator implements every step of the work. If you're already a practitioner of SVH, Fabulous. I hope you'll move through every level of proficiency at lightning speed, because each one offers more advanced tools and is designed to catapult you forward to the greatest levels of clarity. Let's continue to stimulate the clearing profiles so we can implement the first massive rescripting phase in the first hour. In that way, we can create a ripple effect of the master expansion that will ultimately initiate in the final hour of the seminar with the greatest clearing of all, momentum. That's our goal. So let's move through this life looking for any time that you did not focus on what the divine intellect was offering you, especially those times when you made a choice that ended up to be not so ideal. What blocked you from tuning into the constructive information channel and perceiving which were the supportive roads and pathways and which ones were limiting or blocking you from manifesting your desires? When I ask those questions, your conscious mind might have thought of a few instances that fit the categories I spoke of, but the divine intellect, your know-how and how-to buddy, actually isolated every single occurrence that fit the criteria that I was asking for. And the SVH tools loaded clearing directives for your higher consciousness and soul to shift into readiness, preparing, reformatting steps for the Creator to implement later. You see, in each of those identified instances, a preset clearing profile is activated so that when you view your screen later and give Creator the go-ahead, a mega comprehensive clearing will be implemented by the Creator in each of those time frames. Clearing in the past is important because a great number of the instances where you were stopped or blocked from hearing clear guidance may have set a precedence for future barriers. These past events are important for another reason. The clearing profiles we implemented in the past literally clear away the barriers and blocks that impeded your focused clarity and the ability to recognize the jewels of wisdom and truth that could have been utilized to guide you to more graceful pathways back then. This is your opportunity to change the past, and this level of clearing offers you the graceful opportunities to leap in consciousness and to set new foundations for your current reality. Think about it. When you go back in time to change your level of awareness at times when you did no tune in to the ideal guidance, a whole new reality replaces the old one, and your energy and ability to tune in gets instantly more fine-tuned. This is the first step in reaching the kind of clarity and focus we've been talking about, and it's also the first time we're using the new SVH tool to reach to a deeper level and recesses of resistance to claiming your birthright. So, from this moment forward, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to your brain, and the Creator is employing a new silent secret weapon in the background to isolate the very threshold of ancient genetic deposits that have been supporting realities of stagnation, powerlessness, apathy, and the layers of genetic debris that have the potential to set the stage for immobilization. Immobilization is a stop sign that fosters a wait-and-see attitude, that puts a monkey wrench in forward thinking, and that can-do attitude that fuels the realities that we choose and claim. We're going to use this secret weapon clearing again in the upcoming teleseminar, I Can. It's so powerful that it can isolate and empty out massive archives of primordial imprints that are identified by the clearing profiles that are preset for you. It's a new day, my friends, and the means for isolating these limiting archives is at hand. You see, I found a divine loophole that's going to open up primordial gateways that have been locked for centuries. In fact, the locks have been sealed, and the keys to these access points have been lost to humanity for over 40,000 years. That's right, since our planet's last major collective shift. Even as I speak of it now, the Creator prepares you for the moment when this archive will be opened, like a giant portal leading to a resource of limiting imprints, as well as a glorious archive of powerful alliances with the pristine truth of self. Yes, deep within your own genetic makeup is a pathway that will activate the very core of your master being. This activation is something that will gracefully take place over the course of the next 3 months as you utilize the tools in this seminar to quiet the pervasive mind chatter of the 50-plus unconstructive verbiage channels. In a moment, we'll implement the first of our master clearing profiles, and then we will move on to activate the next levels of awareness and your meant-to-be pathways to focus.
You have reached the end of Part 1.
To implement the first clearing profile offered in this seminar, close your eyes and imagine a screen floating before you, and silently ask the Creator if it's in divine alignment for the Creator to implement this clearing. When you've received your affirmative answer, or a sense or knowing that it's in alignment, simply think or say yes, and all that is offered for you will be implemented seamlessly by the Creator. You can now pause the program and resume again after the clearing is activated. Now that you have actuated the first clearing, take a breath and feel the energy of freedom take hold. You are free of huge recesses of embedded formatting that has held you in bondage from knowing. That was our first step. One of the reasons why the last seminar was so important is because it laid a foundation of steps in place to assist you to fully understand what you are manifesting by scrutinizing all formation elements that are fueling your manifestations and help you identify the components that can leak in and bleed creation energy away from the focused vision that you have set in place. The categories and the homework steps are masterful because they prepare you for this stage, the one that will assist you to tap into the how-to channel and strengthen your insights. Think of it. You spend the next few months watching every component of your vision in a perfected state that's anchoring the focused vision into reality. And as you do, you vigilantly manage every category. In the end, you will have manifested your ideal reality and learned how to tune into the pulse of every potential that can enter the field of your manifestations for the rest of your life. That's right. You are learning to know. When you're accustomed to tuning into the energy and the pristine information from the brain's flow of constructive data, you won't need to track the themes of the categories anymore, because you'll automatically tune in to the real-time information flowing to you. Within that stream of knowledge is every potential outcome and opportunity available to you. The negatives right along with the positives. Think of what your life will be like when you have mastered knowing. Tapping into the pristine flow of the stream of knowledge that the brain offers is beyond cool, because every scenario is there for you to choose from. We've all heard about people that are in the know. They know things that give them an edge. When you tap into that inner aha and stay to the course, creation energy fuels manifestation at exponential rates. If there are obstacles, you know them. You know them, and there is a ready answer that you can tap into that can help you to circumvent those negative potentials. Because the how-to channel is neutral, there is no drama energy or emotional roller coaster associated with the information flow. So you're able to tune in and feel the energy and instantly know the directions to fuel. There is a distinct difference between the tones of ego and its rhetoric program and the constructive brain. So let's practice listening to those inner voices right now. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause the recording so that you can take the time to isolate the tones and content of the inner chatter. I want you to know the difference between the seamless stream of constructive data from the how-to channel and the non-constructive, self-diminishing, self-sabotaging rhetoric of the ego. Ego chatters on and on to create a filibuster, blocking your ability to hear constructive views and potentials for opportunities that are available to you, as well as the resources and insights to help you make decisions. First, we're going to listen for ego's tones and its inner dialogue. After that, we'll listen to your constructive flow of information. But for now, just get quiet and intend to hear the ego's banter. You might hear nothing at first, but if that's the case, just tune in and feel the dialogue. What is it saying? What is the feel of it? Is there emotion attached to the words or feelings and impressions? Ego uses feelings and impressions by linking them to genetic and current life imprints that can activate emotional triggers. These can create imbalances. Fears also can lead you down roads that you normally wouldn't travel. Go ahead and pause the recording now. And when you've tapped into the Mind Chatter channel and you have a sense of it, resume the seminar and we'll discuss what you heard. Okay, you've tapped into the ego program. What we look for when we're in the hunt for ego is its non-productive verbiage that's linked with drama or negative tones. Ego never has anything good to say. It's a naysayer all the way, and generally, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. That's what's so confusing about it. Mainly because the ego uses your own stuff against you to prove its theories and limiting stance. It's kind of unfair, really, because the belief systems that ego utilizes in its banter is most generally accessed from deep genetic imprinting that you have no way of knowing about. I do have some good news about it, though. The ego is powerless and it has no direction without supporting data. And the fact that most of ego's fuel for random inner dialogue comes from your deep genetics makes this your lucky day. Our mega clearing loophole in the last sequence of this seminar is going to flush out countless archives of limiting imprints that have no relevance in our modern day world. These archives are linked to third dimension realities that have no place in your personal evolution, and they weigh down the buoyant energy that is attempting to elevate collective consciousness. Learning to discern the voice of the ego program is essential to this stage of your evolution, because its banter can create distortions in your understanding of the issues at hand. Because the information provided by ego is so believable and can be authenticated through muscle testing and other means of acquiring answers from self, we can get caught in a wave of misrepresentations carried on emotional charges that can activate creation energy to fuel ego's limiting scenarios if the conscious mind aligns with any part of the story. That is the importance of not only recognizing ego, but also vanquishing its seedbeds of restrictive food for thought. Those thoughts can take us down roads best left untraveled. So you listened for the sound of ego. But if you heard nothing, no matter how long you quietly listened, your random inner dialogue might be quelled at the moment. Or it could take a bit more practice just listening for it. After all, the ego program file has been with us the whole of our lives. We're so used to hearing it, maybe it's just a part of who we are. But the most important thing to know, that it has been active in the past. Unless you were born a self-realized master and have walked this world as a person free of the human condition, then random inner dialogue has occurred in your life at some time. And our goal is to silence all non-supportive chatter and mop up any past experiences that supported limitation so that we can stand fully in our mastery as a constant and never again hear that rhetoric in the background. Instead, just hear the peace and the harmony and the stillness of that sacred flow of information that supports constructive choices and knowing. Many of us have been working diligently to silence random inner dialogue. So if you heard nothing, you might choose to celebrate the levels of clarity that you've attained. And you could always roll back to a time when there was chatter so that you can just kind of set a baseline for what ego sounds like. And for all of you that heard or perceived the non-productive chatter, what did it sound like? What is it? A cacophony of multiple themes, or was there one overriding topic? What was the tone? Was it harsh, dictatorial, shaming, fear-driven, or filled with foreboding and impressions of impending doom or failures? What was the theme or themes attempting to sway you in one way or another, whether to settle for less or give up on something that you're choosing? Either way, ego has its motives. It is constantly working in the background, watching the sorting of the process of the brain, looking for any opportunity to stir up trouble. It's been listening to us as we've been working here today in this seminar. And I'm sure that your random inner dialogue has plenty to say about what we're talking about. Because we're talking about mastery, aren't we? Mastery, ascension, clarity, focus, moving beyond the ego program file, and also digging in and clearing away all kinds of programs and beliefs that the ego program file has been using to support its rhetoric. One of the most pervasive forms of random inner dialogue is degradation. Degrading you. Telling you that you're worth nothing, or that you can't attain mastery, and you can't elevate to abundance and attract honoring relationships and live the life that you dreamed to live. This mind chatter channel that your conscious and unconscious mind can connect with and follow have something in common that your divine intellect doesn't: emotions and motives. A portion of the brain's seamless flow of data may be giving you information that is similar to that presented by ego's chatter, simply because all options and potentials are offered by the constructive mind, including the negative ones. That's why it's important to know the difference between chatter and the constructive data stream. We can't just say that the divine intellect only gives you happy data and the mind chatter only gives you the negative reports and scenarios. However, you can pretty much count on ego's non-productive chatter projecting fear, negativity, and limiting scenarios that are disempowering and have the potential to lead the listener down a road of inconsistency and loss of personal empowerment. For example, your how-to channel, the constructive voice in your head, may be reporting that the path that you're currently on is leading toward an accident of great consequence, where you could be seriously wounded. After all, if you're walking into a building that's about to blow up, the report about the assurance of danger is imminent. The difference between the non-productive reports about the same potential experience that come from ego is the emotion attached to the report. Your divine intellect gives you mental images of the impending potential and the means to circumvent the disaster, including images of stopping for coffee or to check your tires, which then slows your pace and assures that you are nowhere near the explosion site. This kind of thing has been going on all your life. We just think we're lucky that we pulled over for a minute to get something out of the trunk and missed the traffic accident up ahead. In our unrefined stages of accessing the divine intellect's how-to flow of data, we think the ideas we're having are just popping out of nowhere. But I can assure you that fine-tuning this resource is something we really, really want to do. How would you like to always know in advance if there's an impending accident up ahead or a policeman around the corner when you're going extra fast? Well, you already do. Just like the times when you got insight that there was a deer on the road just around the corner, or you got a funny feeling about something and you were spot on. The key is for us to tune into this resource and gain trust in its accuracy, to really perfect it. I'm going to give you an example of something that recently occurred for me. I was in Italy at the store that sells appliances and electrical stuff. And I had a list of what I wanted to buy and was really excited about it because I just lucked in to a place that had everything that I needed. I say lucked in to it because I wasn't paying close attention to my divine intellect. However, I did tune in to the flash of a toaster and a coffee maker that popped into my head. So I asked a gal at the IKEA exit if there was a place around there that sells espresso machines. I was really excited because the gal told me that everything I wanted was right around the street in a store called Expert. Well, I can tell you that I would have driven right past Expert because, well, first of all, the name doesn't say toaster to me, and you couldn't see really what was inside the store. It was kind of closed in. So my divine intellect got through to me. So I drove across the street, and I parked my car, and I went inside that store. And holy Hannah, these people had everything. Well, except for shopping carts to put things in. I was trying to figure out how to buy the things I needed because they were all in boxes. Now imagine this: an espresso machine, a toaster, a regular drip coffee machine for making American coffee, a cute coffee cup, an armload of kitchen stuff that I had to put back because I couldn't seem to hold it all, and juggle the boxes. So I put the boxes on the floor, stacked them up, started shoving them forward with my feet, and I was pretty proud of myself, really. But it seemed like everywhere I turned my glance to, there was a display of voltage converters and power cords and adapters for European sockets. I looked at them several times and kind of paused and wonder if I really need any of that stuff, and I kind of kept talking myself out of it, thinking that I really didn't need them, and if I did, I'd get them later, and yada yada. So then I got this idea that I needed a hairdryer, even though I really never used them. That flashed into my head, and I headed over to the blow dryers. Just about then, an employee popped by and asked in Italian if I needed help. I think that was what he was asking. So I did charades to portray my need for a shopping cart, and when he finally understood what I wanted, he said, "No, signora, no cart, but I be your cart." So he picked up my boxes and stuff, and I kind of made a big show of how strong he was, and off he went with them. So now I was standing in front of the hairdryers, hands free. Oh my goodness, the choices. There must have been 20 to choose from, but the one I wanted was right there in the front. It was a cute little travel one that was just adorable with a little stubby nose. So I started looking for the box and found that there weren't any boxes of this little tiny cutie. So I found someone that worked there, and I asked them to find one for me in the back room or somewhere, and I don't know what he said, but it finally finished up with, "It's finished," which I believe must mean there aren't any more. God bless this guy. He took it upon himself to get me a blow dryer. He reached over and got the biggest monster blow dryer you ever saw, and he tried to hand it to me. He said, this one. And I'm thinking, my gosh, this is a monster. I don't want this thing. I continued to shop. And I got pretty much everything out of my list except for the blow dryer. And, of course, everywhere I turned was more of those power cords and adapters, even at the checkout. When I got up to the checkout, I found all my boxes just sitting there masterfully piled up, and right beside them was the little guy that had become my shopping cart. So he was waiting to help me take these things out to my car. The funniest thing, though, is that alongside my boxes was sitting nice and pretty was one of those round wall plug adapters. And the woman checker was about to pick it up to add it to my list of things there and charge me for it. And darn if I didn't make a big show of rejecting that this was no a part of my purchases. Now, my dad used to tell me a story about some store when he was a kid that always had a broom leaning against the cash register, and that everybody that went through the line paid for that broom. So I let that story cloud my how-to channel's inner directives. And I have to tell you that the creation energy expended just trying to get my attention so that I would buy that adapter is amazing. If you think about it, it's phenomenal. I even saw them for sale in the gas stations and later on at a rest stop. I must have seen 150 to 200 of these things in a day, whereas I don't think I've ever seen an adapter anywhere I've been outside of an airport. So to bring this story to a close, this was to be my first night in my new apartment. So I got in late and unloaded the car before returning it to the rental agency, even though my gut instinct was no to return it until the next morning. But all in all, I felt pretty empowered by all my successes in finding the things on my shopping list. Until I went to blow up my double-decker aerobed. Yep, the big, hefty, handy-dandy, high-capacity voltage converter I bought back in Idaho, which was powerful enough to run the motor to blow up the bed at 220 voltage, wouldn't fit into the deep inset electrical wall socket. I'll tell you what I needed about then. That's right. The exact adapter that lady checker tried to charge me for and add to my purchases. Or really any of the 100 of them that I saw in the store. And, of course, the rest stop, the gas station, and anywhere else. So even the blow dryer I didn't buy would have blown up the bed. But I didn't buy one, even though they were next to free. The funniest part, in retrospect, is that the blow dryer I liked, the cute little travel one, the one that was Finnish, wouldn't have even blown up the bed. But the one the sales clerk tried to shove into my hand would have been perfect. And I think it was 16 euros. You see, all of this frustration and a very uncomfortable night could have been avoided by what? Tuning in to my constructive flow of data. That part of my brain was working overtime to help me, but I wasn't listening. Well, I wasn't listening to the clear information, but I was letting ego's useless banter about how late it was getting and how I really didn't need a blow dryer anyway, and that I didn't need a power cord or socket adapters, and if I did, I could get them later. Has that ever happened to you? Let's think back. How many times has something like this happened in your life? When every potential means of assistance was at your fingertips. Clear, formed ideas and universal interventions to back them up, as well as insights and foundations for solving future and current issues. Well, that was old paradigm. We're going to leave that in the past, but we're going to use them for clearing. because your brain has already identified all those instances for us. And pretty soon, those times and issues are going to be rewritten, or at least the part about you ignoring your how-to buddy. And while we're at it, was it meant to be for me to buy the adapter or other items that would have ensured that my bed get inflated that night? Or was it meant to be that I sleep on the floor, since I returned the rental car and pretty much committed me to the night in the apartment? Neither. There was no cosmic reason for either of the outcomes to be fueled. In fact, either outcome is and was acceptable. I was able to find everything on my list. I'm proud of my shopping. Even though I didn't speak a word of Italian, my charades were very effective. I felt empowered. I got to have fresh coffee the next morning, and I had an opportunity to use the SVH tools to lay the foundation for the best-case scenario of the bed I made on the ground being the most comfortable possible, which worked. And the next morning, I wasn't the least bit stiff or sore. I went down and got an adapter right away and fixed the problem for the next night. But I also got to discover what happened and go back to clear away the foundations of my indifference to the interventions that were offered. I had a great laugh over the whole thing, too. And now it's being used as an example to describe three things: the flow of data, the interventions, and the reason why the interventions were so unrelenting, even though I ignored them at every turn. Now let's talk about why those converters were appearing for sale at every turn. It's because of my preset format. Remember, we talked about that earlier. Auto-profiling what we do and do not choose, which gives a sequencing priority to the constructive flow of data. That's right. It's like setting a preference for your computer's data sorting. This works masterfully along with the SVH tools that support clearing mechanisms that have been auto-profiled. These subsequently fuel intervention. You see, I have all kinds of SVH auto-profiles in place that are set to activate clearings and interventions anytime there is a potential for my creation energy to fuel drama, trauma, harm to my body, harm to my property, harm to others, and all that other jazz. Now, in the case of the voltage converter no fitting the wall socket, my brain knew it wasn't going to fit, and it also knew that without an intervention, the bed was no going to be inflated that night. So it gave me images of the coffee machine I wanted to buy as I walked out of the IKEA. That spurred me to ask the gal at the exit where I could buy these appliances. She sent me to the store where I could get everything on my list, including a socket adapter I didn't consciously know I needed yet. Creation energy just kept fueling means for me to solve my future issue, but I kept ignoring the assistance. You might ask why God didn't get my attention and just say, "Hey, Jill Marie, that converter that you bought needs one of those things over there to make it fit in the wall socket." Well, Creator did, over and over again, right down to the gal at the checkout counter picking up the exact adapter I needed that just happened to be sitting on the counter. I exercised my free will choice to no listen to any of the prompts and interventions, and I learned from the many opportunities that presented to me. For one thing, I learned that if something keeps popping up, maybe it's a good idea to ask some questions about it or tune in. It would have been an easy thing to sling in a socket adapter just in case I needed it later, but I resisted. I will listen next time, but I'm also listening now. What within my preset formula needs tweaked? So today, you're going to make a preset formula, which is a formula for what you would like your life to look like. Now, you get to pick everything out in your formula, but I'm going to give you a few ideas. So let's start your list with a few obvious choices. How about these? I choose for my life to be free of drama, trauma, hardship, pain, disease, disorder, dysfunction, degeneration, unsafe situations, controversy and conflict with others, loss or damage to my personal property, turbulence in my life, adversity of any kind, inadequacy, poverty, poverty consciousness, lack, loss, anger, and situations that spawn anger, fear, self-judgment, and judgment of others. I choose that my life will be free of hate, adversarial influence, procrastination, loss of focus and lack of clarity, as well as lack of conviction, loss of my dreams, loss of my purpose, suppression, and limitation of any kind. And I choose to be free from ego. Now let's give a positive spin. I choose love, honor, joy, harmony, peace, great parking places, automatic upgrades to first class, inspiration, commitment to my purpose, sovereignty, autonomy, perpetual alliance with the Creator's plan, honoring relationships, focused vision, health, vitality, an abundance of all things good and great, focus, clarity, freedom to choose, freedom to express my truth, alliance with my purpose, gratitude, serenity, perpetual regeneration, laughter, and an unwavering alliance with authentic truth, as well as mastery of my mind and body, and mastery in motion, all leading to ascension. Now let's do an I am list. While you're making your list, just know that your higher consciousness and soul are loading a preset formula that the Creator will implement later. Believe me when I say that deep within your genetics, the Creator is isolating barriers and blocks to being able to fully manifest and uphold what you have in your positive lists and to help you maintain your claims to be free of the negatives that you list. So here are some of the ideas for the I ams. I am healthy and vital. I am able to do anything. I am sovereign. I am joyful. I am clear and focused. I am youthing. I am a master. I am committed to my purpose. I am abundant and always have more than enough. I am aligned with authentic truth. I am an instrument of the Creator's plan. Go ahead now and pause the recording while you expand on this list, and then go ahead and resume. Now that you have your list together, the Creator will lock it in as a component of your credo, your principles to live by. I'm sure that if ever you have an experience like the one I had with the socket adapter, you won't ignore the nudges from the how-to channel of your constructive mind, and you certainly won't ignore the intervention attempts. In fact, any time you listen to this seminar, you'll have an opportunity to take the clearing profiles to even deeper levels. The story about the adapter activated a boatload of clearing, and it will again anytime you think about it or revisit the story on the recording. This is a seminar that just keeps giving. These lists support a new preset format or formula that the constructive brain sorting will now use to auto-position the data streams. It's kind of like filling out a personal profile at your favorite hotel. Anytime you make a reservation with them after you've set your profile, they know that you prefer a non-smoking room with a king-size bed and a firm pillow. Your how-to channel now has a profile to go by that will direct the flow of constructive data to support your ideals. There can be millions of scenarios for every experience. Let's look at an example. Now, we're just describing, and there's no energy that's going to this hypothetical story. But let's say that your car has a flat tire, and you're in the middle of nowhere, and your cell phone has no signal. Well, it's too bad you didn't listen to the promptings of the constructive mind over the last few weeks, nudging you to get your tires rotated. The mechanics would have alerted you to that bald tire, and you would have bought another one and not be in this position. But hey, that was then, this is now. What do? Well, you tune in and listen to the constructive mind. When you do, you'll receive all the potentials in the unrestrained flow of data that you can easily comprehend at many levels. You have a preset format and formula for the principles that you're choosing your life to reflect. Because of this, your constructive data flow suggests that you stay in the car to wait, because an intervention was activated well before the flat tire occurred, to assure that there's a reliable assistance close at hand or a policeman not so far away. Or another scenario might be that the constructive mind knows which direction reasonable help will be found. Knowing is the ultimate focus builder. When you know something, you know it. You know it deep from within yourself. Nothing can shake your reality. Nothing anyone says or does can turn your focus and alliance away from the authentic truth that you're embracing. That is the path that we're all choosing. To be in alignment with authentic truth. To have passion and focus for every single step that we take on our journey. And to be tuned in. So let's tune in to the How-To channel now. Allowing the constructive mind to provide you with pristine resources that can be used to help manifest your ideal reality. I'm going to ask you to think about your focus for the year. But before you do, I'm excited to offer you a new trigger process called Knowing. Of course, this will come along with the mega clearing from the last half hour or so of the SVH Tools digging profiles. Besides being a focus builder, Knowing is a confusion blaster. The trigger process Knowing is going to help you blast through the ego's banter so you can really tune in to the pristine flow of knowledge from the constructive mind. To access this transformational trigger and take advantage of the clearing profiles implemented specifically for each registered participant, just close your eyes and imagine a screen floating before you. Tune in and silently ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment for the Creator to implement this clearing. When you receive the affirmative answer or a sense or knowing that it is in alignment, simply think or say yes, and all that is offered for you will be implemented seamlessly by the Creator, just as before. If you prefer to pause this program in order to take your time in receiving your answer from the Creator, please do so now, and then resume to begin a new alliance with the constructive mind. So, now we're ready to tune in to the How-To channel. The new trigger process, Knowing, will assist you to hear the constructive mind's clear, focused data. Mainly because Know assists you to temporarily circumvent ego. This trigger process won't shut off the ego's banter permanently, but it is a fabulous tool that's going to help you tune in to the seamless flow of data. The best long-term solution to silencing ego is to master the mind. All masters have mastered their minds. The sorting process of the brain and mind is a priceless tool that has blessed our incarnation in ways that are beyond expression. When the mind is still of the chatter of ego, it is possible to utilize the sorting process to transcend all known levels of awareness. To master the mind, one must begin by identifying the source of their limiting thought forms. As mentioned before, Your constructive mind sorting process accesses data that configures useful strategies to support problem solving and to stimulate a seamless inner knowing. That's where we're headed. Knowing. The constructive mind never chatters. It imprints data and supporting energy attachments that link to specific information. This information relates to similar events that the brain perceives may be manifested into your current reality. This perception by the brain is based on the potential scenarios presented by the stimuli around you. Data resourced from the sorting process sponsors a seamless inner knowing that is silently perceived rather than heard, because it's benign. It has no emotional charge. This makes it pretty easy for us to identify where the information is flowing from, doesn't it? Because all emotional response to any data is sponsored by ego, through its divisive activation of genetic and current life formatting intended to incite reaction or collusion with any perceived limitation. Both positive and negative creations are guided by the same principles of creation formation. A focused negative creation thought will manifest as quickly as a focused positive creation thought. Therefore, mastering the mind is essential to your evolution to higher consciousness. A mastered mind supports clarity. Clarity assures that no limiting elements enter your manifestation recipes or the flow of creation energy supporting your manifestations. This allows your true intentions to maintain the integrity of the focus of your conscious desires. Earlier, you tuned into the ego's banter, so now you know the tone and the feel of it. Distinguishing the tone of ego from the silent mechanism of inner knowing is the first step to mastering your conscious thoughts. Unrestrained conscious thoughts produce focused creation formations. So I guess the idea is to focus really positive thoughts, because focused creation energy, with no barriers in place to deflect the flow of creation energy from your ideal, will manifest as designed. This is one of the guiding principles of creation formation, and one of the reasons why we always want to have our hand on the rudder of the little boat that's floating us through the creation energy right straight to the complete manifestation of all that we desire. To distinguish the tone of ego from your inner knowing, you start by listening to your thoughts, just like we did before. Humanity's been conditioned throughout thousands of years to ignore inner knowing and to listen to the rambling of ego's banter. Regrettably, many times the conscious mind accepts limiting thoughts that have been generated from ego because they're supported by embedded beliefs that legitimize the erroneous claims. Now, when I'm talking about your conscious thoughts, I'm talking about you listening and thinking what the random inner dialogue or the ego is saying. Then again, sometimes inner dialogue is so preposterous that your brain and your conscious mind automatically invalidates the data. The negation response is hastened if there's no genetic or current life formatting to muddy the waters of the brain's perception. To begin listening for the seamless flow of constructive data, just relax and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and hold it in for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 seconds. Now release the breath, and with it, release all tension and stiffness from your mind and your body. Just relax. First, we're going to just listen. We aren't going to use the new trigger process yet, so don't even think that. Just let that new trigger process go. From time to time, I'm going to guide you to pause the program while you tune in and listen for guidance. But first, I'm going to give you a question to ask the brain. Asking the brain a question can be as easy as pondering, but right now we're going to be more direct. Go ahead and follow my words, speaking to your brain like it was someone in the room. Brain, what is the best way to support my body's wellness? Now get quiet and listen, all the while listening for the constructive brain's stream of data. You already know what ego sounds like, so if it's yapping, just ignore its input and tune in to the how-to tones. Go ahead and pause the program and restart when you're ready. All right. Maybe you could hear the seamless flow of knowledge from the constructive brain, and maybe you didn't. But this time, we're going to use the new trigger process. That process is going to turn down the volume of the ego and raise the volume on the constructive how-to channel. To begin, just think the word knowing with the intention to use that new trigger. Now let's ask the question again. Brain, what is the best way to support my body's wellness? Now close your eyes and just tune in. You can pause the program and restart when you're ready. This is the beginning of something really big. No matter what levels of clarity that you're able to tune in to the flow of constructive data you experienced, it's a beginning. The tone of the stream of data is going to become the most important resource for clear, concise information in your life. You've already been using it the whole of your life. But in the next days and weeks and months, you're going to become a master of this flow of knowledge, tuning in and feeling the pulse of the data. Have you ever tuned in to the sound of a car or a machine or the breathing of someone that's dear to you? Sleeping beside your partner over the years, you can become accustomed to the sound of their breathing, and some people can even tune into the heartbeat. There are people that know when the timing is off in their car, and they can even tune in to know if their tires are out of balance or need aligned. Tuning into the seamless flow of constructive data is going to be a little bit like that. This is one of the first steps towards knowing. And when I say knowing, I mean knowing. Knowing everything. Tuning in and knowing exactly which way to turn, what choices to make, and what choices no to make. We're going to strengthen your ability to tune in to this fabuloso master ability. The following 4 examples will illustrate an additional motivation for mastering the mind, liberating the brain from superfluous data searches. If your ego-generated thoughts are defining your hair as blue when it's actually brown, the brain will issue a swift response stating your accurate hair color. If your ego-generated thoughts define you as Italian when you're actually French, the brain will initiate a genetic data search first before issuing a rebuttal. After all, the brain knows that you're really French. Now, if your ego-generated thoughts define you as stupid when you're truly very smart, the brain will initiate a data search to substantiate or refute the validity of the definition. It will search through current life files to assess your beliefs about your intelligence. If you have embedded programming from someone telling you that you're stupid, it's very possible that the brain will permit the statement to go unchallenged. If your ego-generated thoughts state that you will never sustain a lasting relationship, the brain will initiate a data search to assess the likelihood of you remaining with one partner. It will use all previous relationships as a guide to evaluate the potential of the long-term union. The brain will review your ancestors' files also to identify any genetic factors that may assist the brain's hypothesis. By the time the brain has completed this assessment, it will likely permit the statement to go unchallenged, even though it's apparent that you've found the love of your life and you're consciously committed to the relationship. Most people can consciously detect erroneous thoughts that creep into their awareness if the words are loud enough to attract their attention. But as a master in remembering, it is paramount for you to be observant of all thoughts in order to master your mind and invalidate limiting creation energy. When you consciously refute mistruths that are perpetuated by ego, the brain and the mind override the validity of the erroneous verbiage instantly. In the following exercise, you'll listen carefully to take notice of the limiting thoughts within your mind. When you detect them, you'll automatically disregard their validity and claim the information to be false, even if the limitation feels correct to you. You'll respond to ego's fabrication as you would a recording stating that you have 9 noses. The limiting verbiage of ego is just as preposterous. These steps will assist you to restore the graceful balance of your awareness to its original watchfulness and will foster your ability to consciously create every facet of your reality that exists within this life. Best of all, you're going to learn to master your awareness of the seamless flow of constructed data, building a firm foundation of focused clarity and the ability to disregard the ego's banter. For this exercise, we will now be using the trigger process knowing. Let's begin. Step 1. Find a comfortable place to sit, where you can still hear the sounds of the world around you, but you'll be undistracted by them. Relax your body and become still. Ignore the sounds and movements that are occurring outside of you, and focus on your thoughts. Listen carefully to the tone and thoughts you perceive, and differentiate between the chatter of ego and a silent perception of your inner knowing. You'll easily identify the banter of ego by its tone and content, and these thoughts emanate limiting views and perceptions. When you have identified the thoughts generated from ego, consciously disregard them while mentally claiming that they are inaccurate, as you would with any mistruths. These thoughts are inaccurate. To continue, just pause this program and then restart when you're ready. Be patient with yourself throughout this process, as same or similar thoughts may continue to pass through your consciousness. This method of identification and neutralization of creation energy is a monitoring technique that will assist you to counteract limitations that are supported by invasive thoughts. Indeed, it's a divine method by which all masters in remembering may take responsibility for the creation energy that their thoughts are supporting. Remember that some impressions of inadequacy may have been so firmly anchored that the circumstances of your life could have become the definition of you. The solution to this obstacle is to consciously redefine yourself, using an image that radiates the truth of your magnificence. Redefining your image will empower the brain and the mind to ignite pathways that will offer you opportunities to release the shackles that you have borne, transforming them into wings that will assist you in your flight to freedom from boundaries that may have seemed impassable before now. Fully embracing the reality of your invulnerability all begins with mastering the mind. The illusion of limitation only exists if it's acceptable and allowed to define your reality. In the case of an apparent physical handicap where a person is in a wheelchair, they're constantly reminded by ego that they are limited. This exercise may be used to disregard all thoughts that support inadequacy. By consciously redefining physical strengths and an unlimited potential, one can release the notion of limitation and be empowered to create a reality filled with wonder. It's important to remember that you're more than your body. You're a sentient being comprised of the essence of the divine creator, with a consciousness that is evolving to align with the pristine nature of your soul. Limitation is limitation. whether it's supporting a belief that you're poor or that you're unworthy of an abundance of love, health, and budding relationships that are mutually supportive. The laws of the universe support abundance. In truth, if you lack abundance, your deficiency indicates that genetic or current life formatting is suppressing its formation. Mastering the mind will empower you to consciously redefine negative verbiage by silently or verbally stating a higher truth. This will ignite a flow of creation energy that will support your positive statements and assist in the manifestation of your desired reality. You make your meant-to-bes, and you are an omnipotent being that can and will create all that you desire, including prosperity and the restoration of your mastery. Now let's move on to step 2. In the previous step, the moment you perceived a limiting thought, you disregarded the message, mentally claiming that the information was inaccurate. In this step, you'll follow the claim with a silent or verbal statement that refutes the ego's limiting verbiage and supports the truth of you. You'll also precede the statements with a trigger process, cancel. That trigger not only cancels limiting creation-forming energy, but also initiates SVH reformatting tool quantum level reprogramming to rescript the seeds and foundations that are supporting the limiting verbiage sponsored by ego. For example, if you detect a thought that reflects an impression that you're poor, think the trigger cancel, and then automatically disregard the message, mentally claiming that the information is inaccurate. Then silently or verbally state, I am wealthy. I instantly create all that I desire. A conscious reclassification of limiting thoughts will initiate creation energy to support the reality of abundance, even if your genetic and current life formatting supports a classification of total insolvency. This method will override creation energy supported by limiting formatting in the moment, allowing your conscious thoughts to support the abundant reality that you're consciously creating. Don't worry that you're going to have to maintain an ongoing mental dialogue, because very soon you won't even have random inner dialogue. Did you know that most Serenity practitioners have little or no random inner dialogue most of the time? In fact, they work on their issues with the tools, and as they elevate their vibrational light quotient, the ego has very little to work with. Therefore, masters of Serenity elevate to heightened states of awareness that support clarity and focus, making them very vigilant about monitoring their thoughts and creation-forming words. The second random inner dialogue is detected. It's vanquished as discovery leads to new levels of clearing and personal advancement. So if a thought enters your mind that says, I'll fall down and get hurt, automatically cancel and disregard the message, and then mentally claim that the information is inaccurate, while silently and verbally stating, I'm safe and sure-footed. This will activate creation energy to support physical safety, nullifying the creation energy held within the limiting thoughts in that moment. As a master in remembering, you are striving to align your conscious thoughts with purposeful, loving thought forms that will assist you to maintain the greatest levels of clarity. By strengthening your awareness of the tones of your thoughts, you will immediately notice when negative and limiting thoughts crop into your consciousness. The key element is recognition. When you have mastered your ability to detach from inaccurate verbiage, limiting thoughts will lose their power to diminish the focus of your manifestations. When ego's banter intertwines with your conscious thoughts, limitation is fueled. Therefore, when ego's banter is recognized and you consciously claim it to be inaccurate, the limitation is nullified, especially when it's preceded by cancel. At first, practicing this part of the exercise may appear as though you're having a conversation with yourself. Well, you are. If a person walking beside you announced that it was night, when truly it was the middle of the day, In this same manner, you'll just monitor the inner chatter of the ego and cancel all erroneous verbiage. In life, letting lies go unchallenged is like agreeing with them. Listen for any thought that is in opposition to the truth of the image of you that the Creator knows to be true. Our blessed Creator sees you as perfect. You may be evolving within an experience that is reflecting limitation, but just because something reflects limitation doesn't make it true. Release all alliances with ego's lies and see yourself as mastery in motion. Live the image of that reality as you aspire to restore it, knowing that all the while you are that sacred flower of perfection. So when you detect thoughts that oppose the unfolding of the graceful paths of discovery that you're choosing, cancel and refute their validity and redefine the mistruths to support your purposeful path. Ego's words are filled with lies, even if they feel true or appear to be real at that moment. The only true reality is love and your infinite capacity to create and express it in every form. There will come a time when even a severed foot will be restored to its limb. This is the ultimate eventuality that you are preparing for, a time when your mastery is fully realized and your ability to create is beyond the scope of limitation.
You have reached the end of Part 2.
Now that you've learned to fully detach from the inaccurate verbiage of the ego dialogue, it's time to seek out the silence of the mind and connect with the seamless flow of knowledge that is yours alone. It is the voice of your divinely neutral master intellect that is always tuned in to the stream of pristine knowledge and the infinite number of scenarios that are available to you in every moment. Based, of course, on the current and impending life stimulus that's either occurring in your now or has the potential to manifest based on your choices and your desires. You've already laid a foundational credo for the life, defining a choice for ease, grace, harmony, and alliances with honor, authentic truth, and principles of abundance. So when you tune into your master intellect, you and that part of your brain and higher consciousness are on the same page. That fine-tunes the range of options that you're choosing to access. It's all about knowing. So, tuning into the master intellect to know the ideal direction to take for a specific project in order to expediently complete it and have it blossom to support abundance and a firm foundation of continuing income. We'll filter out any options and opportunities that could and would fuel drama and limiting scenarios, even if the pathways of drama could and would lead your project to the ideal end result that you're choosing. If there are 50 scenarios leading to success, and 45 of them take you through a minefield of potential disasters and losses, with an ultimate outcome leading to the ideal that you are choosing, and there are 5 scenarios that plug along free of drama and trauma and unbalanced situations that need to be stabilized all the time, which scenarios do you want your master intellect to direct your attention to? Of course, the 45 drama projects available to you are of no interest to you. You're in alignment with the 5 graceful options. In fact, you only want to know about the supreme roads to success. The rest of them are just distractions. That's why asserting a credo is so important, especially when working with the master intellect, because you can ratchet down the parameters of the filter to only supply insights and data streams that'll feed and fuel the master walk that you design. It's kind of like programming your television. Let's say you sign up for satellite TV and there are 2,000 plus channels available to you all of a sudden. You can program the system to filter out and block all news, sports, and reality shows, leaving you with just the programs that you're interested in. No reason to have mud wrestling coming up every time you're surfing through the channels. We did that exact same thing for my mom when she got cable TV. We set it up so she only could pick up the oldies movie channel and the educational channel that played wilderness shows in Lawrence Welk. Made it a lot simpler for her. You can do the same thing with the master intellect. One of the things that you're going to have the opportunity to do in this seminar is take your credo a bit further and define the range and fields of interest to you that you would like to auto-profile into your master intellect how-to channel. Now, this will in no way impede you from receiving a data stream of all scenarios anytime that you would like to expand the range of your preset formula, because all you need to do is ask the brain for all scenarios, and your request will bypass the filter. Before we ratchet down the data range you prefer to access, let's connect with the constructive flow of data streams and feel your way around the myriad of intel that's accessible to you, and then we'll do some fine-tuning. Remember, this is the same pathways traversed by the masters that came before us, so they laid track for us, making this part of the journey a lot easier. One thing they didn't have is the trigger process no. We're going to use it to help us circumvent ego and create a swift access to the data flow. Then we're going to unlock the gateway of freedom to link us with the master intellect. I want to tell you up front that this procedure is different than asking the Creator a question. Our Blessed Creator is always ready to assist us, and when we ask a question in a way that moves beyond the illusion to receive an answer that is aligned with authentic truth, the answers will always flow to us in whatever means that we receive them. What we're remembering how to do today is to step into a new stage of mastery that supports the utilization of innate tools and abilities available to us through the means Creator makes available to support manifestation. We're creating and co-creating every facet of our reality. So let's ramp up our proficiency levels and start getting exactly what we want. Not some of what we can envision and hope to get, but a real life, meant to be reality maker that kicks indecision, apathy, and that wait-and-see attitude right to the curb. No more partial dreams fulfilled and no more choices to hand our manifestation rights over to someone else. We are the definers of our realm. So let's stop handing the reins of our life over to others. God gave us an ability that we've been underusing. Let's start claiming our realm and fueling every reality that we're choosing. Let's start doing it right now. Go ahead and relax and find kind of a space of peace where you are and just choose to be undisturbed during this activation. You could even light a candle and play some soft music in the background if you'd like. To begin, though, just close your eyes and take a breath. Activate the ego-muting trigger process by thinking, knowing, and then listen for the silence. When you're ready, consciously think or say these words with conviction. I choose to activate my inner awareness and master intellect. Your choice to seek out this sacred space of silence will instantly sponsor a data search that employs your brain and mind to sort through immeasurable data to secure the pathways and the mechanisms for activating your inner awareness. This is one of the glorious functions of the brain and mind that is sponsored by a magnificent serenity process that has been gifted to us in its entirety from the Creator. Your conscious choice to access the pathways of inner awareness immediately initiates creation energy to support that reality. Without delay, the brain and the mind perceive the claim to be a directive, which instantly activates a search for pathways that will assist to fulfill your choice to connect with the master intellect. Like champagne bubbles, the pathways are tickled into activating, opening up conduits that light up the pathways for your new levels of clarity. Keep listening to the silence and allow the brain and the mind to direct your consciousness. Float effortlessly along the pathways to the sacred space that is activating especially for you. You're ready to claim your divine right of entry into a space of love that has always been accessible to you. In truth, you've been hearing the Master Intellect for your whole life. But now you're drawn to a space of reunion that will forever be your place of clear communication with it. Throughout this activation, you will perceive an inner knowing of sacred keys that unlock the primordial pathways of your inner awareness. Let the mechanisms within the computer-like programs of your brain and mind activate the pathways and allow your awakening awareness to be acknowledged. Let yourself sense and feel the graceful shift in your consciousness and allow the restoration to be recognized and honored. Positive thoughts will foster the budding flower of your awareness as it opens to its fullness. Think of lovely thoughts. Think happy thoughts. Think love. Imagine or see the splendor of this sacred space and make it your own. As you envision the image of loveliness that you depict, the space will transform to fulfill its splendor. You are a master designer and architect of this space. You can create a meandering creek, a waterfall that pours into a crystalline pond in a green meadow, or a golden chamber that is a special room where your consciousness shifts to hear your Master Intellect. The sacred space you define will transform to match your desired creation formation instantly and may be modified at any time by you, simply by choosing. Feel your mastery at play as you effortlessly ornament this facet of your realm. Soon, your clarity will support the same effortless creation within all facets of your life. Now that you've ornamented the sacred space where the Master Intellect is heard, take your index finger and tap your forehead 3 times. This anchors the space into your conscious reality. Now mentally manifest a wonderful chair to sit in. And when you're seated, feel your inner awareness open like a fan to become a receiver. And now select a phrase or a word that will become your personal key to initiate communication with the Master Intellect. This key can be as simple as, "I hear you now," or "focus." Your key can also be a feeling. In a moment, your key will be transformed into a personal trigger that will swiftly propel you into this space of clarity the instant you think or feel it. Now it's time to receive a transformational clearing profile that is defined specifically for you. As a registered seminar participant, you receive a new transformational reformatting tool that is linked to the awareness of the Master Intellect. A deep reservoir of genetic formatting that is as old as your first ancestor holds a noose around your neck, choking off your freedom to breathe and live the sovereign life that you desire. That noose is made up of billions of threads of fear and self-sabotaging beliefs that have nothing whatsoever to do with you and your life and the evolution to higher consciousness that you're choosing. Naturally, we celebrate the constructive data in your primordial archives, but now we make ready for the opportunity to step away from the chokehold of ancient formatting that is smothering this world through collective alliances with suppressive beliefs and fears. No more of this for you. No more will you align with collective consciousness and those limiting belief systems. You're the first in the world to receive this purge. The Creator is utilizing a divine loophole that is calibrated to resource this reservoir. And in a few moments, you're going to be free. Free like never before. It will be like laying down a mantle of death, a shroud that you've been carrying your whole life and carried by every ancestor before you. Can you imagine living life while carrying death? That's what we've been doing. Each one of your ancestors added to the threads of the noose, defining limitations into your own basic freedom to elevate to newfound heights of awareness and the mastery that you're claiming. This day was expected. Your soul knew it would come even before it entered your body. This, today, is your Emancipation Day. Emancipation from primordial limitations that have held you from leaping ever higher and creating the destiny you desired. Today you step into a new role of knowing. Let's activate these pathways to freedom and the new transformational genetic reformatting tool to access your personal expansion profile that the Creator will implement. Envision that a screen is floating before you. Silently ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment for you to receive this landmark clearing and the key. Listen quietly for your answer. And when you have received an affirmative response, speak the word yes. And this will activate the new life profiles that the Creator has designed specifically for you. Go ahead and pause the program and resume when you have your answer. Take a breath of freedom, and feel as if 1,000,000 shrouds have fallen from you. Each time you think or speak your personal key, your consciousness will shift into the space of master intellect, where you'll be propelled into a communion of light to receive clear counsel and the flow of knowledge that you can use to define and design every facet of your journey. Now that the pathways of your inner awareness have been activated, it's time to listen for the master intellect. It is the voice of truth. At no time will the master intellect impart emotionally charged verbiage. You'll only receive loving and understanding counsel, supportive gifts, blessings, and responses to your questions that support divine alignment with your sacred purpose. If you hear or perceive any thoughts or words that bear a hint of negativity, or you sense a lack of loving intent within the exchange, recognize that your awareness has slipped into the ego dialogues. Simply exercise detachment and redefine the mistruths. Then mute the ego with your trigger process, knowing. When you've fully aligned with the stillness again, allow your consciousness to reconnect with the master intellect. If you hear nothing at first, just relax and simply enjoy the silence of the mind and observe the serenity and clarity that you possess in this space of peace. Soon you'll begin to hear or sense the master intellect and know the pleasure of its counsel. Connecting with the master intellect will further enhance your innate ability to hear the Creator's voice as well. While in this reflective space of serenity that you've created, you can easily hear, sense, and feel the Creator. Each of us is a bit different and will perceive the master intellect in our communications with the Creator in our own way. It is important to release all judgment with regard to your level of communication, while strictly monitoring the chatter of ego to ensure that you are divinely neutral in your thoughts, impressions, and expectations. Each level of expansion offered in this series is only a reminder of that which you already know. You are the definer of your realm, and soon you will master that authority. The key to mastery is in mastering the mind, and you are well on your way. So now, let's review all that has been activated and accessed and learned and remembered over the last 2 hours. Let's make it your goal to master every component of this newly activated link with your master intellect and make it second nature to tune in to its many layers of data streams from the constructive mind that offer infinite opportunities for understanding and awareness of the options and scenarios available to you. These are your target areas to focus on. Your credo. Define your choices for this life. An easy, graceful, harmonious, and abundant evolution to higher consciousness with no attraction of drama, trauma, and loss, and whatever else that you would like to add to this list. Then expand on your credo. Define what you're choosing for your life. And then the filter. Ratchet down what you truly desire to receive in the way of information and scenarios from the constructive mind how-to channel. And then we move to knowing. Move into the knowing. Feel your energy tuning in to the pulse of the energy flow of your life potentials. Enhance your perceptivity and your innate ability to know, just like Buddha and Jesus and the other masters did. Heighten your sensitivity to the tones of the information presented. Recognize the difference between the ego and the seamless flow of information that is flowing to you from the constructive mind. Bask in the silence. Let your mind be silent, like hitting the pause button on a think tank. Your master intellect and the constructive mind don't ruminate over topics. Not ever. The knowledge flows seamlessly with full scenarios that reflect actual potentials and their outcomes. Everything offered from the constructive mind and the how-to channel is resourced outside of time and then integrated back into our real time as a full scenario package. The constructive mind only presents authentic scenarios with no adversarial or misaligned theories woven in. What you hear from this pristine source of information is authentic truth and bona fide options and opportunities for you to choose from. Our next point in review is to align with the master intellect. Think or speak your key and enter your sacred space of communion with the master intellect. Use this same sacred space of communion to speak with the Creator, because it's quiet and it holds a special reverence. But also remember that the Creator is with you in every facet of yourself. You're never separate from God, and you don't need a special place to connect. And yet, finding a special place to commune with the Creator is fun. And I find that it's like having a special date with the Creator when I step into the throne of God or into that space of communion, just for a one-on-one chat. You know, I was raised Catholic, so when the Creator first suggested that I step into the space of communion with my master intellect, I was wondering if there was going to be communion wafers involved. Instead, a unity and spiritual union with that part of myself, that higher part of self, uplifted me to new heights and assisted me to feel at oneness with the many facets of me. It's a meditation space if I want it, but really more of a place where I can develop proficiency in my knowing. Knowing is our goal. That is our ultimate destination. So let's practice the steps that we've learned. Now you won't pause the recording during this segment because I'm going to take you through the whole process. At first, we won't use the ego muting trigger. Let's just be silent and listen to the tone of your thoughts. Just tune in for 1 minute and remember that any limiting or negative conscious thoughts or ego dialogue needs to be immediately canceled and then refuted and replaced with a positive thought. Let's begin. Okay, now what did you hear, sense, or perceive? If you heard nothing, let's just celebrate that. Remember, though, that throughout the day, ego-driven thoughts may enter your mind. Each time you hear them, it is imperative that at a minimum, you cancel them and refute. Every day you're going to become more aware of ego's banter if it pops into your thoughts, because you know the tone of it. If you think you would benefit from more practice discerning the tone of ego, set aside 3 or 4 minutes a day just to tune in. After 2 days or even 2 minutes, you'll absolutely know the sound of ego. Remember that ego thoughts are instilled with emotional imprints that are limiting, sometimes inciting fear and conscious negative thoughts. Here's the tip-off. Ego dialogue never, ever supports clarity and focus. Even if your conscious mind starts thinking along the theme of ego's banter, the procedure is the same. Cancel, refute, and instill a new positive thought. Cancel is your shining glory in this scenario, because each time you cancel one of ego's thought forms, that SVH clearing trigger works with the Creator to reformat the seeds and foundations of beliefs and imprints that the ego accessed to substantiate its negative banter. The ego might be a lemon, but with the trigger process cancel in play, we make lemonade, as the genetic and current life formatting that fueled ego's banter is isolated and restricted to support freedom from the limitations that fostered and allowed the negative thoughts to be activated by ego and shifted into your conscious thoughts. Now let's connect with the constructive flow of data streams and feel your way around the myriad of intel that is accessible to you. This time, we're going to activate the ego muting trigger knowing, and then we move into the stillness. So just think knowing. And in that stillness, I want you to just feel the rivers of creation energy that are fueling the realities in your life. Pick something good that's occurring in your life right now, whatever the topic. Later we'll select something that you'd like to shift or change. But right now, think of something really sweet that's happening in your life. Something that brings you joy. And as you think of this sweet reality, let your conscious mind float on the energy that is fueling it. Feel those rivers of golden light. Feel like you're in a boat riding along on it. Hand on the rudder, always designing and defining your direction. Feeling at oneness with the flow of energy. Remember, if ego creeps into your sweet reverie, cancel it and refocus. This is no intended to be an intense mental exercise. In fact, imagine what it would be like to float on the currents of air like a kite. Let your conscious mind dance in the currents of energy that are fueling your sweet reality. Keep your focus on the sweetness of it as you float on the lilting waves of energy. Tune in to the conscious mind's flow of information about this reality that you're focusing on. Now think of the future and what lays ahead as the sweetness of this topic continues to expand beyond today. Just feel and know and let your conscious mind pick up on the nuances of the expanding reality. You are choosing for this sweetness to continue beyond today. Scenarios may start popping into your mind, either pictures, fully formed uploads of potentials or thoughts and words. Just get a sense of the theme and practice developing your inner knowing. This is where ego might want to interject. So activate the ego muting trigger again. Just think knowing and continue. Are there too many scenarios floating into your mind right now? No worries. Let's ratchet down the filter a bit more. Mentally choose that only easy, graceful, and harmonious scenarios with no drama or trauma potentials will be presented. Now with that boundary, tune in and let your conscious mind integrate the potentials that will assist you to foster and support that sweet reality so that it continues beyond today. Feel free to question the how-to channel. What if I do this? What if I do it this way? Or any other directive question, and then tune in to know. If you'd like more time, go ahead and pause the program and reinitiate when you're ready to move on to the next exercise. But now let's practice tuning in to gain understanding and activate scenarios that will help you resolve an issue. We're going to activate the ego muting trigger again, knowing, and then, like before, move into the stillness. In that stillness, I want you to feel the rivers of creation energy again. So think knowing, and just move into that beautiful energy of knowing. Let the rivers of creation energy just carry you along on the waves, fueling the realities in your life. Pick something to tune into now that's occurring in your life. Something that you're concerned about, or you'd like more information about, or something that you'd like to resolve. Feel yourself floating on the energy flow of the energy reality, and feel the pulse of the situation. Does it feel like the energy is uncertain, scattered, or flowing directly toward and forming the situation or situations you'd like to remedy? This is an important part because you want to sensitize yourself to know exactly where you're headed. Now think, how can this be resolved in an expedient manner that is honoring and graceful? Now go ahead and tune in and feel, sense, and know the scenarios that present. You can pause the program if you need a little more time, but let's ratchet this down a little tighter. Stay in that flow of creation energy. Think knowing. If you ever notice that the ego is adding its banter, you want to stay very focused. In a moment, I'll ask you to think a question to the how-to channel. You'll ask, what is the ideal scenario that I can implement to transform this issue? Then you'll tune in and let the how-to channel present the ideal scenario to you. And you'll hear or feel and know the answer or get a sense of it. This is not a magic button yet. You are mastering your ability to perceive the flow of knowledge and direct creation energy to fuel the highest ideals. The masters that came before you took years to perfect this level of awareness, but you can master it in a matter of days, weeks, and months if you choose. We live in a world of instant gratification where we want everything now. Let's tap into that energy and choose and expect to master these levels of consciousness in record time. Now let's buckle down and do the work to gain that proficiency. Go ahead and ask the question, what is the ideal scenario that I can implement to transform this issue? Now pause the program until you have a sense of a resolving scenario, and then resume. Okay, you have a sense or a clear-cut resolution to the issue you would like to resolve. Now let's fuel it. In this space of harmony where you're linked to the flow of creation energy, hold that resolving scenario in your mind like it was a soap bubble on your finger. Activate a flood of creation energy to fuel it by mentally linking to it, claiming it mentally by thinking the formation igniting words, I am that. I am that. Now feel the scenario being fueled in its pristine form. Feel the opportunities and potentials for resolution attracting to you. Feel yourself in that boat on the flow of creation energy and actually feel how the riverbed that's carrying that flow of golden orbs of creation energy rises. It doubles and quadruples in creation energy, fueling the ideal reality that you're choosing. Now, this is not a manifestation technique that you designed and you're choosing to fuel. That's a different exercise. You are tapping into the pristine flow of knowledge, and the scenario that you're fueling is one that was supplied to you from the constructive mind. Now your job as a master manifester is to focus and continue to fuel this reality that you have aligned with and chosen to form. So you stay in tune with the pulse of this manifestation formula and follow the themes of resolution. Keep your eye on the focused vision of the resolution, defining, directing, and activating the realities that you're fulfilling through your unwavering vigilance. Tune into the flow of creation energy and feel it fueling the outcome. Fearlessly sensitize your conscious mind. You aren't looking for negatives or disasters, but you are choosing to sense any blip on the radar, if one comes along, so that you can investigate and find resolutions. In the last seminar, you laid the foundations for this master awareness by focusing on the categories that heighten your sensitivity to the radar blips, and then clear the pathways to enhance superior awareness. Right now you're using those categories, and every day you're mastering more of your innate ability to create exactly what you desire, in exactly the manner that is in alignment with your focused vision. So let's gain a deeper understanding of the issues centered around your new theme that's manifesting. To do that, let's pay the master intellect a visit, shall we? If you'd like to pause the program to put on some background music, this is a great time to do that. I find that music helps to transcend the experience, especially in something like this. So let's get quiet again and just feel the flow of light that makes up everything. Activate the ego muting trigger knowing, and then like before, move into the stillness. Knowing. In that stillness, I want you to feel the rivers of creation energy and imagine that you are gracefully floating along in your boat. Your hand is on the rudder, and you are defining exactly where you're headed. The flow is moving upward, and your mind is magnetically attracted to the space of peace that you created for communing with your master intellect and the Creator. Think your key, that special word that you put together earlier, and feel the stillness move into an even greater level of harmony. You are in your comfy space. relaxed and open to receiving. Your awareness is heightened as you feel at oneness with your master intellect. You're here to reach a clearer understanding about the issue that you're choosing to transform or any topic you choose to address. This is your time, and this is your master intellect. If you would like to transform your master intellect into an embodied looking being, go ahead and just have that thought. And immediately, your beloved master intellect will take form. Go ahead and manifest a chair for your master intellect, or make room on your comfy spot. And connect right at the heart, telepathically speaking to your master intellect, allowing yourself to follow the inner voice, your inner voice, the one that's linked with your consciousness. That's the part of you that would like some answers about the issues that we're working on right now and the flow of creation energy that's linked to that infinite knowing, that how-to, but also it's linked to your inner focus of what you would desire to change in your life or transform. Your master intellect knows every facet of you and your life. So allow yourself to just flow with your inner insights and your thoughts and your desires. And take this time to just allow yourself to become one with your master intellect. Like a best buddy. Let yourself ask every single question, knowing there'll be no judgment, there'll be no barriers and blocks, and no truth held from you. This is an incorruptible part of you. It is an incorruptible part of the oneness of you. Allow yourself now to trust this information that's flowing to you, knowing that you are infused with divine light and that all that is coming from the ego program file is being squelched. This space is radiated by divine light. And you might in the background hear a little ego stuff going on, but just ignore it. Ignore it and leave it outside the room. Just like if there was a radio on in the other room and you didn't want to hear that song, you just kind of block it out. Just think cancel for that and leave it in the background. Let yourself move into the zone of this sacred space and allow yourself to reach the harmony and the balance and the understanding of all that you desire. Please allow yourself to receive in the manner that is the most comfortable to you. If you're just receiving senses or just minimal little thoughts and you think they're your own, that's not a just. That's your master intellect. Allow yourself to trust. Allow yourself to just move into that space of peace. And now I'm going to ask you with your finger to just mute the program, press pause, and allow yourself to reach the greatest levels of heartfelt connection with this absolutely magnificent intellect that's linked with your master consciousness. When you're ready to resume, just go ahead and turn the program back on, and we're going to move from that space exactly into a communion with the Creator. So stay right in your happy spot there and hit resume, and we'll go ahead and begin right in that spot. I know that the union with your master intellect was magnificent, and it's not over yet. But let's expand the wonder of this union with self and invite your blessed Creator to join this gathering. Simply think your request to commune with the Creator in this place of peace and stillness. And directly in front of you, you will see, sense, or feel a golden orb materialize right before you. It is the golden essence that all life and creation is comprised of. Feel the deliciousness of it and let yourself know it. One of the most important steps in mastery is knowing. And knowing the Creator is one of the biggest knowings of all. To know the oneness of your union with the Creator in a cosmic sense. You are made of the Creator's love. And your very soul is a component of the oneness of the Creator. Stand up now and move your energy body into that orb, allowing yourself to fully accept and embrace the unconditional love of the Creator. Feel how wonderful it is to be in this union, and allow yourself to just soak it up. Stay in this centered space of peace, allowing yourself to be aligned with the Creator's unconditional love. See yourself now through the eyes of the Creator, allowing your master intellect to imprint this truth throughout every facet of your oneness. You are special. You are important. You are grand and glorious. Feel your master intellect ignite and lock on to that focus clarity. No more shall you only see yourself as your body and your things and your story. Your story is evolving in every moment. And this chapter is especially important because you are living your mastery. You're choosing to know the pulse of the very elements that are fueling your realities. Meant to be is something that you make happen. Meant to be is a focus, a choice, and a passion to complete all that you desire. It isn't an excuse to just let ourselves wait to see what happens. Meant to be is what we make it. Step out of the orb now and feel how the essence of unconditional love has fully instilled you. You are complete and yet evolving in every moment. Let yourself celebrate and enjoy this time. Let yourself just be in the moment. And as you do, let yourself choose for the Creator to manifest a body, one that you feel the most comfortable with. And as you stand before the Creator, open your heart and silently request the most glorious blessing that the Creator will bestow upon you. O Creator, I ask to be an instrument of your love and peace and harmony. Make me a lighthouse of your truth. Let me radiate out to illuminate all areas of darkness. Help me to feel always safe and to walk my talk and live my truth, and assist me to reach the greatest levels of clarity and focus so that I can elevate to the levels of mastery that will support your ideals for me and my sacred service that is aligned with your plan for this time and this world. Creator, help me to reach the greatest levels of proficiency in all that is aligned with my master walk, so that I may constantly reflect your ideal of mastery in motion. I choose love and alliances with the light path, Creator. I also choose abundance, health, vitality, alliances with the highest principles of divine truth, and a joyful life that leads gracefully to my ascension. I ask for any gifts and blessings and offerings that you have to offer me that will support my focus and clarity and purpose within this sacred journey, so that I will know the energy flow of all that is manifesting in my life, so that I will have my finger and my awareness and my knowing on the pulse of all that is manifesting, so that I may instantly be in tune to all that is at my disposal, to manifest and shift all energy to meet my ideals. Thank you, Creator. And now, open your heart and receive the Creator's gift. As the gifts flow from the Creator's heart into yours, feel how exquisite it is to be in alignment with your purpose. Feel how clear you are. And allow yourself now that treasured time to be able to connect with the Creator and just be in communion, in sacred union with the Creator, listening to the Creator's thoughts, asking for direction, knowing that your master consciousness, your master intellect, and also your constructive brain and all parts of those awarenesses that you're strengthening are at your disposal right now. So as you move into communion with the Creator, also feel yourself tapping in to that knowing, that wave or like that beautiful flowing river of light that is manifesting all that you desire, and feel yourself directing it, tapping in and knowing what every little nuance is influencing. In a moment, we'll go ahead and resume our program. But right now, pause and just commune with the Creator. Go ahead and stretch and take a few deep breaths while you prepare for a revisit to the constructive mind and the flow of creation energy that is fueling your reality. It's important for you to practice this component of knowing until you have mastered it, in order for you to gain understanding of the areas of your life that are being adversely influenced. And then you'll activate scenarios that will help you to resolve the issues. So go ahead and activate the ego muting trigger, knowing. And then, just like before, move into the stillness. In that stillness, I want you to feel the rivers of creation energy that are fueling the realities of your life. Like before, pick something to tune into that is occurring in your life right now. Something that you're concerned about or that you would like to resolve. Now feel yourself floating on the energy flow of the current reality and feel the pulse of the situation. I'd like you to think, how can this be resolved in an expedient manner that's honoring and graceful? Tune in and feel, sense, and know the scenarios that present. Go ahead and pause the program, and when you have a sense or knowing of the scenario that you'd like to give energy to, go ahead and resume. Now that you have the scenario that you'd like to go forward with, hold it in your mind and activate a flood of creation energy to fuel it by mentally linking to it, claiming it, and thinking the formation igniting words, I am that. Now feel the scenario being fueled in its pristine form. Feel the opportunities and potentials for absolute resolution attracting to you. You know the power of I am that I am. I am that is fueling the new scenario. So just focus on that and know that it is your ideal. You've been on a quest for the Holy Grail for the last 3 hours, and the pristine challenge of knowledge and truth is yours. You found it today. It exists within you. As you master the flow of creation energy that fuels your reality, you will know the greatest focus and grace, because you'll tune into the elements that are fostering imbalance and shift to fuel the scenarios that transcend the potential imbalances. Continue to work the categories from the previous seminar. They will help you to strengthen your resolve and your focus, assisting you to tune into the flow of creation energy and to master your perceptivity. Use the trigger processes. If you're a Serenity practitioner, utilize your tools to reformat every element of limiting belief, system, and genetic imprinting that still remains. You received a clearing profile today that eclipses anything ever offered through any modality. Some of the genetics that were removed and replaced by our blessed Creator were 120,000 years old. Vast resources of deep genetic formatting was liberated from you today. In a glorious purge, your genetic formatting was instilled with master principles that will serve to support you as you reach your next leaps to higher consciousness and your ultimate ascension. Remember, the constructive mind never chatters. It imprints data and supports energy attachments that link to specific information. This information relates to similar events that the brain perceives may manifest into your current reality. This perception by the brain is based on the potential scenarios presented by the stimulus around you. That data, resourced from your sorting process, sponsors a seamless inner knowing that is silently perceived rather than heard, because it's benign. It has no emotional charge. So if the tone of your thoughts holds panic, shame, judgment, or any other limiting reference, the source is ego, not the seamless flow of pristine knowledge and potentials. The constructive mind is the director of the how-to channel that supplies scenarios for current or impending opportunities. Both the constructive mind and the how-to channel are levels of the master intellect, and the master intellect is the voice of your higher consciousness. Your higher consciousness is a part of you that knows everything, because it's inexorably linked with the soul. Your higher consciousness astral travels and implements sacred service anywhere and everywhere to support the Creator's master plan. Though always with you and aligned with your physical energy and mental bodies, your higher consciousness exists within and beyond the scope of your physical body. Your higher consciousness dances with angels and dolphins and has no limits or boundaries, because it breathes with the soul, always connected to everything, everywhere, always. That's why this phase of your master expansion is so important, because you have reached the time in your evolution to higher consciousness when you also are ready to fly. You're ready to master the energy that forms every component of your reality, and in doing so, tune into the pulse of every influence that you can choose to align with or deflect. As you master the energy that forms your reality and tune into that master intellect and its wisdom, you develop more and more of a deeper connection with your all-knowing self. At one point in the very near future, you will consciously become one with your all-knowing self. And like the masters that came before us, you will walk this world in supreme awareness. This is your destiny. This is your meant to be. Until our next phase, the Transformational New Life Seminar number 3, Change Your Story, Change Your Life. Namaste. If you believe that you'll benefit from further coaching, please don't hesitate to call for a momentum session. This is your new life. Let's make it extraordinary.
Now that you have completed this recording, you are ready to access your online post-seminar coaching session. It is recommended that you revisit all or part of this seminar to receive enhanced benefit from the progressive clearing profiles.